You ever wonder what's really going on inside one of those high-level engineering jobs? Today, we're going to deconstruct an entire career path just by looking at a single job posting. It's amazing what a single ad can tell us. It's like a whole story. Let's get into it.
I mean, think about it. You see one of those massive ships just gliding across the ocean. Have you ever stopped to think, wow, how did they even build that? What does it actually take to engineer something that can stand up to the raw power of the sea? It's not just about bolting metal together, right? It takes incredible precision, some really deep knowledge, and, well, a very specific set of skills.
And that question, well, it leads us right to our case study for today. We're going to be looking at a job opening for a naval architect with L&T. And if you know engineering, you know L&T is a huge player.
Okay, so let's just lay out the basics here. The role? It's a design engineer, specifically a naval architect. It's with L&T's Precision Engineering and Systems Division, and it's based in Delhi. And here's a key detail right off the bat. They're looking for someone with 3 to 5 years of experience. We'll come back to that.
All right, so we've got the what, where, and who. But what kind of person are they actually looking for? You know, who's the perfect fit? This is where things get really interesting. Okay, first up, education. And right away, you can tell this is a super specialized field. I mean, they're not just looking for any old mechanical engineer. The degree has to be in naval architecture, shipbuilding, or ocean engineering. That tells you something right there. Domain-specific knowledge is everything.
And there's that number again, 3 to 5 years. So what does that tell us? Well, this is definitely not a job for someone fresh out of college. They want someone who's already been out there, who's put their degree to work in the real world, someone who gets the industry's challenges and can, hit the ground running from day one.
Okay, let's talk skills. So you've got the technical stuff, of course. Deep knowledge of naval structures. You got to be a pro with software like AutoCAD and Siemens NX. But look what's right there on the list with all the tech stuff. Good analytical skills and strong teamwork. It's such a perfect example of how modern engineering isn't just about being a genius with software. It's about how you think and how you work with other people.
Okay, so we've got a pretty good picture of the person they want. But what would you actually do all day? What's the day-to-day grind like? Let's dive into the core responsibilities.
Now, before we get into the to-do list, we've got to tackle this key term, structural scantling. Yeah, it sounds super technical, I know, but the idea behind it is actually pretty straightforward. It's basically the all-important process of figuring out the exact dimensions of every single piece of a ship's structure. We're talking the beams, the hull plates, the support frames, all of it. The goal is to make sure it's strong enough to handle anything the ocean throws at it, while also following these really strict design codes.
So, that word, scantling, it's really the heart of the whole workflow here. It all starts with those nitty-gritty calculations. Then you take those numbers and you use them to build the digital blueprints in 2D and 3D. And the final step, you review everything to make sure it's accurate and follows all the rules. It's this perfect little cycle. Calculate, model, then validate. Over and over.
Okay, now for a part of the job posting that is so important, but honestly, a lot of people just skim right over it. Let's get into the fine print of the employment terms.
So here's a super important distinction you need to know. On-roll versus off-roll employment. If you're on-roll, it means you're a direct employee of the company itself, in this case, L&T. They pay your salary, they handle your benefits, the whole shebang. But being off-roll, that means you're technically an employee of a totally separate staffing firm. They are the ones who pay you, and they contract your services out to the main company. And for this particular job, the posting is very clear. So even though you'd be working on L&T projects every day, your actual employer, the company that's signing your paychecks, is going to be Genie HR Solution. Understanding that setup is absolutely key for anyone thinking about applying.
So what about the money? How are they handling compensation? Well, the ad has this very direct, very interesting quote. It says, salary offered as a hike on current in-hand pay. That's a pretty strong signal, isn't it? They're basically saying, hey, we want experienced people and we're willing to pay you more than you're making right now to get you. It's a direct appeal.
All right, so we've broken down the role, the skills, the fine print. What if you're listening to this and thinking, hey, that's me? Let's talk about the final step, how you actually apply. And you know what? The application process is super simple. It's actually kind of refreshing. There are no complicated online portals to fight with. All you got to do is send your info over in an email. And here's the email address you'll need. It goes straight to Arun Kumar. That's arun.kumar@geniehr.in. And that pretty much wraps up our deep dive.
It's pretty amazing, isn't it? How a single job ad can tell you so much about an industry, what a company is looking for, and an entire career path. So for anyone out there who has these qualifications, the last question is a pretty big one. Is this your chance to start shaping the future of naval engineering?